Hare Krishna. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Panajari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Thkur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Gadadhar Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, Text 2. Dhruvam tato me krita deva helanad Duryatyam vyasanam nati dirgahat Tad astu kamam he aga niskriyatame Yatha na kuryam punar evam adha Dhruvam tato me krita deva helanad Duryateyam vyasanam nati dirgahat Tad astu kamam he aga niskrityayame Yatha na kuryam punar evam adha Dhruvam tato me krita deva helanad Duryatyam vyasanam nati dirgahat Tad astu kamam he aga niskrityayame Yatha na kuryam punar eva madha Dhruvam, sure and certain, tata, therefore, me, mine, krita deva helanat, because of disobeying the orders of the Lord, duryatyayam, very difficult, vyasanam, calamity, na, not, ati, greatly, dirghat, far off, tat, that, astu, let it be, kamam, desire without reservations, he, certainly, aga, since, niskriyata, for getting free, me, my, yatha, so that, na, never, kuryam, shall I do it, punah, again, evam, as I have done, ada, directly. Translation. King Parikshit thought, due to my neglecting the injunctions of the Supreme Lord, I must certainly expect some difficulty to overcome me in the near future. I now desire without a reservation that the calamity come now, for in this way I may be freed from the sinful actions and not commit such an offense again. Purport. The Supreme Lord enjoins that Brahmanas and cows must be given all protection. The Lord is himself very much inclined to do good to Brahmanas and cows. Gro Brahmana Hitayacha. Maharaj Parikshit knew all this, and thus he concluded that his insulting a powerful Brahmana was certainly to be punished by the laws of the Lord, and he was expecting something very difficult in the very near future. He therefore desired the imminent calamity to fall on him and not on his family members. A man's personal misconduct affects all his family members. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit desired the calamity to fall on him alone. By suffering personally, he would be restrained from future sins, and at the same time, the sin which he had committed would be counteracted so that his descendants would not suffer. That is the way a responsible devotee thinks. The family members of a devotee also share the effects of a devotee's service unto the Lord. Maharaj Prahlad saved his demon father by his personal devotional service. A devotee's son in the family is the greatest boon or blessing of the Lord. Om Agyanti Vinandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshum Ulmayuna Tasme Sri Guruve Nama Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamayam Tadati Swapadam Hitam Ande Ham Sri Guru Sri Yukta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Shah Sri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Turvesha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you for coming for this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So when we read this sloka and we read the previous slokas and this whole chapter, one has to understand that Parikshit Maharaj putting the dead snake on Samik Rishi and Samik Rishi's son Senge cursing Parikshit Maharaj. this is actually the will of the Lord. This was directly orchestrated as per Krishna's plan. And one thing we have to understand, that when a devotee, like here, Parikshit Maharaj, he knows that the cows and the brahmanas are very dear to Lord Krishna. And he putting a dead snake over the brahmana's neck, he felt that he has done offense, and he was feeling regretful, remorseful, and he wanted to atone for it. A devotee, because of his humbleness, because of his humility, even though he does a small accidental mistake, he magnifies it. He magnifies it, and he tells the Lord, my Lord, just see, what type of devotee I am. I cannot even call a devotee. I'm filled with so many anarthas, and I'm doing all these negative actions. So basically, a devotee, even a small accidental mistake, he magnifies it. But in this material world, a person, when he does big mistakes also, what he does? He tries to cover it up. You hear so many things in the papers, this scandal, that scandal, People, they have their lawyers to give justification to cover it up. And even though it's proved, they say, पूरी दुनिया करता है, सब कोई करती है, मैं छोटा कर दिया तो क्या problem है? So in the material world is opposite. But a devotee, because of his humility, he magnifies that small thing into a big thing, and he tells, my dear Lord, and he repents. And what follows after his repentful, that is a real jewel in spiritual life. What happens is, when a devotee, he feels repentful and he regrets doing that mistake, he goes very deep in his heart. He goes very deep in his prayer to the Lord and says, my dear Lord Krishna, just see whatever devotee I am. I am filled with so many negativity. I am doing so many negative actions. My dear Lord, I have so many anarthas in my heart. I do not have any hope. You are my only hope, my Lord. Please intervene. Please have mercy on me. And when a devotee has such attitude and such prayerful attitude, Krishna gives him very high spiritual realizations. And Krishna gives him many more spiritual realization and gifts to come. And we should know one thing, that when one does not follow the rules of the Lord, when one disobeys the rules given in the scriptures, definitely he has to go through negativity. Definitely sinful reactions will come. And when we don't follow the rules of the Lord, definitely we have to go through that sinful reaction. So the first thing, the fact that we have just taken birth in this material world, that itself shows we have, rebelled against the Lord. We were in the spiritual world, we rebelled against the Lord, and we wanted to be our own enjoyers. We wanted to, take the position of Krishna in one sense. So because of that negative thought, we have taken birth in this material world. And taking birth in this material world, that itself is a sinful reaction on us. Taking birth in this material world means we have to go through those three kleshas. Then there's birth, disease, old age, death. This itself is a sinful reaction on us. And the scriptures mention that this world is a place of dukhalayam. Dukhalayam means it's a place of misery. This world, if suppose someone is sent to a prison house, वो उधर मौज मस्ती करने नहीं जाता है. He goes, वो अपना सजा काटने जाता है. He goes to, जो भी 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, उसको that punishment, he goes to atone, to rectify in the jail. So when we've taken birth in this material world, the scripture said that this material was like a jail for us. We should try to atone and finish whatever atone and again go back to God. It's a place of dukhalayam. There's misery at every step. There's danger at every step. I would like to narrate a true story. In my organization, suddenly, from our bank account, 4 lakh rupees was deducted and that money was transferred to someone else's account. It was not a hacking thing. No one has hacked, but just the bank had made a mistake. It deducted 4 lakhs from account and transferred to someone else's account. When our accountant came to know, he was shocked. My accountant was saying, God, how can the bank do like this? Obviously, the money which was transferred to the other account, that vendor, he was known to us, so he returned that money to us. But it was shocking to our accountant. So in the same way, this world There's shocking news on every level. Today it is accounts level, tomorrow it is a health level, someday it is on a family level, someday it is on a business level. This world is full of shocking news. Suddenly you're in a house, you get a phone call that your loved one, your son, daughter, your wife has landed with an accident, is at the hospital, you rush to the hospital. Sometimes there's shocking news on your health. Suddenly you have a stomach pain, you go to the doctor, he does some few tests, then he says you have got cancer and it's in the final stages. So this world is full of shocking news. So we have to know that yes, this place is not for enjoyment. This place is only for one purpose. That is to revive our spiritual consciousness. That is to revive our lost relationship with Lord Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. Then another thing is that if one neglects the injunctions and laws of Lord Krishna, one has to expect difficulty without fail. And the scriptures define what are the injunctions, what are the laws of the Lord Krishna. And if one does not follow, it is guaranteed he has to go through the negative consequences. And what is the main injunction of the scriptures? The main injunction of scriptures is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should use everything to serve and please Lord Krishna. These are the main few injunctions of scriptures. But Maya will make full effort. Maya will do everything to see that we don't follow this injunction of the scriptures. So a devotee is very, very careful, and a devotee is very inattentive when he's in this world. He knows that Maya, through different means, will try to disturb him to follow the pure injunctions of the scriptures. And like I was mentioning, Maya will try to do everything to see that we don't follow the pure devotional principles of the scriptures. And a devotee is very attentive to every moment. A devotee knows that even if I give a little bit to Maya, is very, very dangerous. Sometimes in this material world, there's so much temptation. You're walking down the road, there's so many posters, posters of Mataji, half clad, half naked. You're walking down the road, there's so much temptations. Maya will always attempt to attack you and divert us. But if you give in to Maya, even a small bit, even a little bit, it's very, very dangerous. There's a story that there was once a camel and his owner. They were traveling in the desert. So when night came, the owner of the camel, he made a small tent in the desert. And he went to stay inside the tent, and his camel was outside. And when the night came, it was very cold in the night. So the owner was in a nice, comfortable way inside the tent. But the camel was feeling very cold. So the camel told the owner, "Sir, it's very cold outside. Just allow me to put my nose inside the tent. Only my nose." So the owner said, "Okay, only your nose." Camel said, "Fine." So the camel put only his nose inside the tent. And that was the beginning of the end of the story. So after some time, the camel says to the owner, Sir, it's very cold outside. Please allow me to put only my face inside the tent." The owner said, "Okay, only your face." So the camel puts only the face in the tent. Then after some time, the camel says, "My dear sir, it's very cold outside. And we camels are very attached to our neck, and my neck is very long. Please kindly allow only my neck to come inside the tent." The owner said, "Okay, only your neck." So the camel put his neck, and slowly the camel put his right leg inside, left leg inside, his whole body inside, all the full part, and the owner was outside the tent, and the camel was inside the tent. So the Maya, like this, it tempts us and says, only once, try this out. You have been chanting, you're a seasoned devotee for 20 years. Just little bit, if you give in to just few seconds, nothing happens. But it is very, very dangerous. We have to be very alert. We should not even give in to Maya even for even a second. And Maya will always keep on tempting. Maya will say, "Okay, you did this, you didn't get that desired happiness. Do one thing. You adjust yourself a little bit. Do this. Change your situation. You'll become happy. Then we adjust and change our situation. Then after going through that, still we don't get the desired happiness which we're looking for. Then Maya says, oh, don't worry. You adjust a little bit. You change the situation a little bit this way, like this. You'll become happy. We change it that. Again, after that, we don't get the desired happiness. Maya said, hey, don't worry. Kabhi hota hai. You missed out something. Now you do like this, adjust like this, change your situation like this, you'll become happy. Full life, we keep on changing situation. And then we become old and we die. And we never got that real happiness for which we were longing for. In this context, I'll tell a true story. When COVID came, the first COVID, it came. So that time, there was full lockdown everywhere in India. All the shops were closed. Only the essential shops were open. Essential commodity for grocery were open. So that time, even the barber shops were closed. The hair cutting salons were closed. So, I know one person, I'm like everyone, the male people, everyone's hair was growing. So I know one person, his hair was growing. So he never had that habit of so long hair. So now the salons were closed. So what he did is, he ordered online a hair cutting machine, a small hair cutting machine. So it came through the courier. So he told his son was in the college, he told his son, beta, thoda mera baal kaat de, sab jagah se thoda kaat dena, from every place, thoda cut. Son said, okay, papa. So the son took the trimmer, and from everywhere he cut. Then he showed the mirror to his father. Father said, Ade, this left side is little longer. It's not looking nice. Do one thing. Make from the left side little less hair. The son cut from the left side. Then the father saw. Father said, Ade, it's not looking nice. Now the right side looks more hair. So do one thing. From the right side, again cut more hair. So the son cut from the right side. After cutting, when the father saw the mirror, he said, Ade, you've cut a lot from the right side. Now the left side looks more hair. Do one thing. Do little adjustment cutting from the left side. Like this, in the end, literally the father had no hair. The father was bald, So Maya, in the same way, tells, Ade, yes, situation, man, you don't find happiness. Adjust a little bit here. You try adjusting there. Then Maya will say, Ade, you didn't get the happiness. Adjust a little bit there. No, like that, we keep on full life, adjust, and in the end, we understand we are with empty heart. We are with a vacuum. We are left with nothing in the end. That happiness which we're looking for, if you miss that, and we die. So we have to be very careful of Maya's trick. The first time itself, Maya says, hey bhai, Srivas Thakur, तूने कुछ adjustment नहीं किया, अभी थोड़ा adjust कर. हमको माया को हाथ जोड़ के बोलना, भाई, Ram Ram. We go back to our scriptures, we take association of devotees, and never get into the, into the aspect of Maya even for a second. And we have to understand that it is only Krishna consciousness which will give us real happiness in life. Any amount of adjustment we do in material life, nothing will give us that happiness which we are looking after for life after life. It is only when we are very clear with our goal, only when we are Krishna conscious and we follow the Krishna conscious principles nicely, sincerely in life, then only we'll get that desired happiness in our life. In the ISKCON world, when Prabhupada was trying to establish ISKCON in Mayapur, they got this small patch of land. And the financial condition in Mayapur was very, very tight. Just the basic necessity they had, and that also they had to struggle for the basic necessity in the initial Mayapur days. So Jayapataka Maharaj was there. And they had no vehicles that time, no vehicles. They had only one bicycle, The temple had the property, what? A bicycle. So Jayapataka Maharaj, he had to get some wood and some nail. So he had to cycle for around 45 minutes to the nearest shop. And Jayapataka Maharaj, his father was a millionaire, his grandfather was a millionaire, but here, almost he's living in a poverty condition. And an old cycle, he's cycling, for 45 minutes. He's going to the nearest shop to get some plywood and some nails. But the whole way, he was just chanting the Mahamantra. He was so happy the whole way. He was very happy. And when he reached the shop, when you're happy, it shows on your face. So Jayapataka Maharaj was so happy. He went to the shop, That shopkeeper saw Jayapataka Maharaj so happy. He told Jayapataka Maharaj, Arey, you have nothing, but how come you're still so happy? That person is telling Jayapataka Maharaj, see, I have a 2-storied building, I have a big house, I have a very good wife, I have children, I have a lot of money, I'm very well known in this area, and still I'm not happy. How come you are so happy? You don't have anything, but still you are so happy. So Jayapataka Maharaj, when he was narrating this incident, he was saying, I hardly had anything, but I had Krishna consciousness. I knew what my goal was. I had Krishna with me. I was Krishna conscious. That itself gave me so much happiness. I didn't need external things to make me happy. So again, the main thing is that if we are happy, if we are Krishna consciousness, if we are Krishna conscious, automatically happiness will come from within. And like I mentioned, the Maya will always keep on trying to attack us and divert us. One senior devotee, he made a very nice statement. He said, we are habituated in finding shelter in our bad habits. A very strong statement. What happens is, even in spiritual life, when we are in spiritual life, sometimes when the graph of spiritual life is a little down, when we are little down in a spiritual life, when there's a little vacuum in a spiritual life, there may be a tendency to go back to our sinful habits. It may be for a second, few seconds, maybe for a few minutes, maybe for a few hours, maybe for a few days, but it's a very, very dangerous thing. This is a temptation, this is an attack of Maya. So we have to be very, very careful that we don't try to take shelter and try to stick, in our old sinful habits again. It's an attack of Maya. We have to be very careful. And Maya, sometimes devotee thinks, "Arey bhai, ye Maya mere piche kab chhodega?" Sometimes we think that when will Maya leave me? Our acharyas give us the understanding, till we are in this material world, Maya will keep on being behind us. Till our last breath, Maya will be speaking on one ear and Krishna on the other. It is our choice, free choice, whose whisper we want to hear. So till we are in this material world, till our last breath, Maya will keep on tempting us. Maya will be keeping on attacking behind us. But we have to be very careful. At every moment, we have to be helplessly crying out to Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna's devotees, taking shelter of Krishna's scriptures. And physically, even if we are with Krishna, Maya will still keep on attacking us. Even physically, if we are with Krishna, there's a famous classic story in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going for his South Indian Yatra. Kal Krishna Das, his personal servant and assistant, was with him. Imagine you're with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when both of them were traveling, there was a Bhattahari tribe. And the women of the Bhattahari tribe, they tried to tempt and allure Kal Krishna Das, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant. And they were successful. They took away, they tempted Kal Krishna Das and took away Kal Krishna Das from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Imagine, even if you're with Supreme Personality of Godhead, but if you're not attentive, we could succumb to Maya. But again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back to the Bhattahari tribe and got back Kal Krishna, took him by the hair and saved him. So again, the point is, at every moment, we have to take shelter of Guru, Sadhu and the Sastras. That is the only hope. And when we are doing bhakti, we have to understand that there are many enemy soldiers within our system itself. Within us, there are many enemy soldiers. And if we listen to our enemy soldiers, we'll be doomed. And these enemy soldiers are within us in the form of our uncontrolled senses, our uncontrolled mind, our conditioned ego. These are enemy soldiers within us. And if we listen to them, we'll be doomed. And Maya will always tell us that, if you are strict, bhakti will be very difficult. But if you are not so strict, bhakti will be easy. Take away duty na yaar. He's not so strict, but kitna acha chal raha hai uska spiritual life. But again, this is an attack of Maya. For an example, if we eat at regular times in a day, and if we are crossing some place where there's very nice smelling food stuff and very nice attractive looking food stuff, we will not succumb. But if we don't eat at regular fixed times, we eat at any time, and we are crossing a place where you see very nice food stuff and very nice smelling food, we'll be tempted and we may succumb to eating that. So again, the important thing is that we have to be strict in bhakti. And like earlier we were mentioning that we have to follow the laws of God. We have to follow the laws which Krishna has laid down in the scriptures. If we don't do that, we are inviting for trouble. In this material world, if you compare the whole population, most of the population, they are not following the rules of the scriptures. They're not following the rules what Krishna has given. And there's a very small portion who follow the rules which are defined in the scriptures. But why do this small proportion follow? A lot of these people follow the rules of the scriptures out of fear. If I don't do this, something bad will happen to me, something bad will happen to my family, something bad will happen to my business, something bad will happen to my relatives. So out of fear, they follow. But why does a devotee follow the pure rules of the scriptures, the rules which Krishna has given? So that he has only one aim for following these rules. What is his aim? So that it is pleasing to Krishna. That is his only concern. Let me follow this so that it is pleasing to Krishna. It will be as a service to Krishna. That is the only motivation of a devotee. And in the text which we are reading, which we read in the translation, the purport, Parikshitnath feels that whatever calamities are supposed to come, let it come to me. Prabhupada writes in the purport that a man's personal misconduct affects all his family members, and Prabhupada also mentions that if someone becomes a devotee, the family members also gets the benefit. So in this context, I would like to narrate a true story. Srivas Thkur Prabhu, who is Prabhupada's disciple, when in the initial ISKCON days, he got attracted by ISKCON and he wanted to join the ISKCON family. But he comes from a very strict Christian family. And his mother is a very strict Christian person. And when Srivas Thkur Prabhu went to his mother and said that I want to join the Hare Krishna movement, mother was furious. Mother said, impossible, you cannot join. But somehow Srivas Thkur Prabhu, he tried to convince his mother that, see, my heart has already been attracted. It's a pure path. It's a bona fide path. I want to join. Mother said, nothing doing. But somehow Srivas Thkur Prabhu's heart had already, was at the feet of Srila Prabhupada. So he joined. And Srivas Thkur Prabhu's mother told Srivas Thkur Prabhu, if you join ISKCON, you're out of my life forever. I'm going to cut my connection with you forever. You're not going to be in my life anymore. So Srivas Thkur Prabhu joined ISKCON, and Srivas Thkur Prabhu's mother cut off all her relationship with Srivas Thkur Prabhu. No communication. So after 20 years, Srivas Thkur Prabhu's mother got cancer. And it was in the last stage. So that time Srivas Thkur Prabhu was in Bombay. So he got the news that his mother has been diagnosed with this terminal cancer. So Srivas Thkur Prabhu, he flew to USA. He went to meet his mother. So Srivas Thkur Prabhu stayed with his mother for a few days and was trying to serve her. Obviously Srivas Thkur Prabhu's mother, was bedridden and could not move much. So Srivas Thkur Prabhu, in a very menial way, as a real, very genuine son, was trying to serve her mother in all the capacity. And he would read for her mother from the Bible, because Srivas Thkur Prabhu knew my mother is a very strict Christian. So he would read from the Bible every day to his mother. And he would feed her mother, take care of her mother. So one day, Srivas Thkur Prabhu told his mother that, Mummy, the religion which I follow, we read the Gita and the Krishna book. If you want, can I read you from the Bhagavad Gita and the Krishna book? Srivas Thkur was asking his mother. Mother said, okay, no problem. You can read from the Gita and the Krishna book for me. So Srivas Thkur Prabhu started reading to his mother from the Gita and from the Krishna book every day. And his mother started liking. And mother would tell Srivas Thkur, please read more. And she told Keshav Bharati Prabhu that, please get me some tapes of Srila Prabhupada. In those days, there was no CD and nothing. Those days there were tape recorder and there were cassettes. So Keshav Bharati Prabhu arranged for some cassettes of Srila Prabhupada, and her mother would hear lectures of Prabhupada. And then she told Keshav Bharati Prabhu, I want to start chanting the Mahamantra. She requested Keshav Bharati, please give me beads back and beads. She started chanting 1 round every day. Slowly she moved to 3 rounds, 5 rounds, 10 rounds, and 16 rounds. Every day she was chanting. And then she told Keshav Bharati Prabhu that I would like to take initiation in ISKCON. So it was a surprise for Keshav Bharati Prabhu. So Keshav Bharati Prabhu said, okay, fine. Then Shivram Maharaj was in that area. So Keshav Bharati Prabhu spoke to Shivram Maharaj, and Shivram Maharaj said, okay, I will initiate her. And Shivram Maharaj gave her initiation, and she got her name Nandini Devidasi. And after she got that name, and then after a few days, obviously her cancer was in the last stage. After a few days, Nandini Devidasi, she passed away. And before passing away, she told to Keshav Bharati Prabhu, in my whole life, the most important day and the most happiest day, which was it? The most important and most happiest day was the day when I got initiation. So this story, I'm like, how true Prabhupada mentions in the purport that, when a person in the family takes up to Krishna consciousness, there's many benefits from many angles. And obviously, in the purport, Prabhupada mentions about Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. Because of Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu, got liberated. And then, when we follow the laws of Krishna, we should know that something wonderful is happening, something wonderful will keep on happening. And what is that wonderful thing? That wonderful thing is that we are engaged in devotional service. We have to understand one thing, that there's nothing higher than devotional service. Nothing higher. In this context, Krishna says to the gopis, that even if I spend one lifetime of Brahma in trying to repay for your bhakti, that will not be enough. Please kindly be satisfied with your devotional service itself. Just see, Krishna wants to give something, because Krishna is so grateful and so in-depth to the gopis for their devotional service. Krishna wants to give them something the highest. But Krishna tells the gopis, I want to give you something the highest, but that there's nothing higher than devotional service. So please be satisfied performing devotional service. Then, once one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, Krishna Das, he wrote to Srila Prabhupada he wrote to Prabhupada that his pathway has become filled with stumbling blocks. Krishna Das, he wrote to Prabhupada that Prabhupada, that my spiritual pathway has become filled with stumbling blocks. That Prabhupada wrote back to him saying that I can kick away all your blocks with one kick, provided you accept my guidance. Again, in this part, one of the most important thing is, what Prabhupada writes, provided you take my guidance, you follow my guidance, then all your stumbling blocks will be kicked away. So the most important thing is we have to follow what Prabhupada has given us. We have to follow what our Gurudev has given us or trying to teach us. We have to follow what's written in the scriptures. When we follow these things, then all the stumbling blocks are removed from our spiritual path. Then, so in this context, once a devotee mentioned that there's nothing lacking in Krishna consciousness. What is lacking is our Krishna consciousness. Very true. See, sometimes we go to Srinath and say, Prabhuji, you say that there's a lot of bliss in spiritual life and there's happiness, but I'm not finding that bliss. If you analyze, it's because we are not following what's given in the scriptures properly. We are not following the guidance given by senior devotees properly. So, udhar hum maar kha jate hain. So, there's nothing lacking in Krishna consciousness. What is lacking is our Krishna consciousness. Then, okay. And the earlier we start when you're talking of bhakti, the earlier we start a spiritual journey, the better it is. Because the earlier we start a spiritual journey, the less conditioned we become. The more later stage we take up to spiritual life, we add on more conditioning to us. And it's not that because, see, spiritual life is at no time, at no circumstance we can say that, okay, abhi both ho gaya, mera condition both hai, I can't take to Krishna consciousness. No. Krishna consciousness is meant for anyone. However conditioned we are, still there's hope for us. But again, the point is, the earlier we take up to Krishna consciousness, the better it is, the less conditioning we have. Especially, we should try to train our children in young age to take up to Krishna consciousness. In this context, I know a family in Mira Road. They have a 4-year son. So that son is a born devotee, and this family is trying to train that son in Krishna consciousness. So the father once was telling me that his son, when he was 4 years old, and he was half asleep. When he was half asleep, and the son is talking in his half asleep. What is he saying? He's saying, Krishna, give me bhakti. What is he saying in his half asleep? A 4-year child. Krishna, give me bhakti. He's not aware what he's talking. But so this shows that, if at young age, if we give training to our children, they will go back to God in a faster pace. Then, basically, devotional service means keeping Krishna in the center. Devotional service means keeping Krishna in the center. Once, Srila Prabhupada, he was walking with some of his disciples. There was Dhananjay Prabhu, there was Gurudas Prabhu, and there's some other devotees. They were walking. So, as they were walking, Prabhupada took his cane, famous, and pointed somewhere. And he pointed to a patch of grass which was yellow in color. So Prabhupada pointed there and told his disciples, why is that patch of grass yellow in color? So Gurudas Prabhu, he said, Prabhupada, maybe the quality of the soil there is not proper. Some other devotee said, Prabhupada, maybe the water has not reached there properly. So Prabhupada heard the answer. Prabhupada said, that patch of grass is yellow because that grass, it is disconnected from its root. And Prabhupada said, the plants, when it's connected to its root, the roots give that plant nourishment. So Prabhupada says that the problem in material world is because we are disconnected from Krishna. Because we are disconnected from Krishna is a problem in this material world. So Prabhupada said, once we get connected to Krishna, when we get connected to the roots, then we get nourishment in our spiritual life. So again, the point is, we have to get connected with Krishna. When we get connected with Krishna, we get spiritual regeneration. We get spiritual nourishment. And another thing is that a diseased man, the more he gains his health, the more better he feels. In the same way, the more Krishna conscious we become, the more satisfied we feel from within. Once there was a poor man in a village. This poor man, he had never seen gold. So someone told him in the village, you go to the king, and if you request the king to open his treasury, in the treasury it's full of gold. So this poor man, he was very simple-hearted, very simple person. He goes to the king and tells the king, sir, I've never seen gold. Someone told me that there's a lot of gold in your treasury. I have a desire to see that if you permit me. The king said, okay. So the king called his minister and told him, you take this man, poor man, on the first floor in a treasury, open the treasury and show him gold. So the minister took the poor man to the first floor. And as they were walking, that whole first floor was made of gold. The whole staircase was made of gold also. And as they reached the first floor, the king's minister, he opened the treasury. When the king's minister opened the treasury, this man, poor man, saw the gold, yellow metal inside. But then he noticed that when he was coming up the first floor, that whole first floor was also made of gold. And this treasury is also, inside this is also full of gold. So the point is, when we go back to the spiritual world and we see the treasure of devotional service there, we will understand, in the material world also, that devotional service which I was doing, that was also the real treasure. So it's not that only you have to, when you go back to the spiritual world, you'll find the real treasure. When we do devotional service in this material world, that itself is the real treasure of Golok Vrindavan. Because when we go to Golok Vrindavan, what will we do there? We'll be serving Krishna. We'll be performing devotional service. So if that same devotional service we are doing here, if we are serving Krishna in this material world, Golok Vrindavan is already there for us. And we should feel very grateful to Krishna and his representative for engaging us in the process of bhakti. All of us here, if you analyze why are we in bhakti, it is because of some devotee. Some devotee may have given us some prasad, some devotee through book discussion may have given us some book. We read that, we became devotee. Some devotee very lovingly told us, "Arey Prabhuji, thoda 7-day Bhagavad Gita course aa raha hai. Please come." Just to please him, because we had a good relationship, maybe we were a relative of his. We come. And because of that, today we are here. So if you analyze how come we are sitting here today, if you go back, you will understand that there was a hand of a devotee. So we should feel very grateful to the devotees for having engaged us in this process of devotional service. And there's an example. Say Bill Gates, or one of the richest person in this world, his very personal associate, the personal associate of Bill Gates, or the richest man, he comes to us and tells us, and gives us a key and tells us, "This is the key of this rich man. You can go to his house anytime and stay for any number of days." But we'll not believe it. We'll feel so happy. We'll feel very grateful. We'll feel very grateful to this person who has given us the key. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada, he has got us that key. Srila Prabhupada is very dear to Krishna. He's a very confidential associate of Lord Krishna. Very dear to Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada has got that key from us. And that key does two functions. That key, first of all, it unlocks the jail which we are in, the jail of material world. This key, first of all, unlocks the gate of the jail of the material world which we are in. And the second, this key opens the door of Golok Vrindavan for us. So we should feel very, very grateful to Srila Prabhupada and all the Vaishnavas. So it is time up. So we'll stop here. So if anyone has a question, maybe we can take a quick question. So fine, no questions. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.